I'm coming to you live, unannounced, but I think this will be a good one. Hey, all right. So, folks, I'm coming to you tonight, kind of inspired by a class I taught earlier today with the Marine Retailers Association. We were kind of having a talk about process improvement. Now, this is going to come with a little bit of a story, and then I might tell another little story, and then I'm open to conversation here. I'm probably going to be a good 15, 20 minutes on this one. Not too long because I got to take my kid to church, but I do want to kind of cover this one and really come at it. So today I'm teaching the class, short story, teaching the class. We're talking about process improvements, and I could tell some people in the Zoom were kind of like, whatever. Like sometimes you just get that vibe, right? So I was like, hey, let's put a let's put a pin in this one and let's talk about why process improvement is so stinking important. Now, you could look at people I've had like Michelle Kimbrough on my podcast and things like that and talk about Six Sigma and all these things, but let's just get down to brass tacks reality. Let's say that you are a shop, okay? And let's say that you are finally pulling your head out of the sand and you're looking around at what's happening. So you run a shop, an automotive shop, a motorcycle shop, a boat shop, a whatever shop. You run a shop and you pull your head out of the sand and you look around at what your technicians are doing. And let's say that there's something that a technician has to do 200 times a month, 300 times a month. You know, they're prepping a vehicle for delivery. They got to charge a battery. Or let's say they're doing oil changes. Let's say they're doing oil changes at an automotive center. I want to make this as generic as possible. So let's say that you give the repair order to the technician. He's going to go do the oil change. He pulls the car into the bay. 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 12 minutes, 16 minutes, 18 minutes, 20 minutes goes by, and you see the technician coming back with a thing of oil and an oil filter. Okay. Right off the bat, what's wrong? Anyone that works in fixed operations, anyone that has had any service manager experience whatsoever, once you pull your head out of your sand and you see this, you go, why in the world did it take 20 minutes to go get an oil filter and oil for this job? The job should be done already, and he's just now showing up with the supplies to do the job. So instead of getting angry with the technician and calling him lazy or stupid or whatever, you decide, I'm going to watch some more of this. So another technician gets an oil change. He comes back in 22 minutes with oil and a thing. So pulls the car in, comes back with oil and a filter. And then another technician, 22, 24, 26 minutes later, pulls the car in, then comes in with the oil and the oil filter, does the job, cleans himself up, pulls the car out. So the car now is taking 46 minutes, 52 minutes, something like that, to do a complete oil change and goodwill inspection, when the whole job should be taking like 15 to 18 minutes tops, right? So you look at this and you think to yourself, oh my goodness, is it my technicians? Is it my parts department? Is it my parts to service liaison, the person that's supposed to bring the parts to the technician to get the job done? Like, you have to do a root cause analysis to find out, why is it taking 20 minutes to come back with a jug of oil and an oil filter? Why is it taking that long? And so you have to do the root cause analysis. Maybe you find out all your technicians smoke and they consider that their smoke break. Maybe you find out the parts department really does suck. Maybe you find out there is no parts liaison position. The technicians actually have to go all the way to the service counter. All the way to the back parts counter so they can get what they need to do the job, instead of just being able to get the job, right? So you come up with all these different root cause concerns. Now, the idea of continuous process improvement is, you would say, this isn't working. We got to change this. And so you change that, and then you monitor the success of that change. Did it reduce the time in service? Did it cause a quicker turnaround? Were you able to take in more cars to service on a given day? Now let's break that into dollars, okay? If you can take 15 to 20 minutes off of each repair order coming into your service department, you have to start thinking in terms of how much value that is. And this is where a lot of people miss the mark. A lot of people just totally abandon reason at this point. So stick with me. Stick with me. Most repair shops bill 50-50. Parts, labor, parts, labor, parts, labor, parts, labor. Okay, so let's say that their shop rate is, we'll just make the numbers easy. Let's just say it's $100 an hour, and it ain't. I mean, if you're in Los Angeles right now, you might be paying $280, $300 an hour to get your Mercedes worked on. Okay, so let's just say, for the sake of arguments, for easy numbers, it's $100. That makes numbers real easy for me to work with, right? So 20 minutes is $30 worth of labor. But if you're a shop that's billing 50-50 parts and labor, it now becomes $60. So that delay in time of going to get the oil and the oil filter cost your shop $60 in sales opportunity, meaning the time that that technician spent walking around in circles looking for oil in an oil filter could have generated $60 of revenue for your department. Now, the trick of this is to say, well, how many oil changes does a technician do in a day? And maybe you're in a shop that does a lot of service work, so maybe it's 10. Okay. So if it's $60 per, that becomes $600 in missed billing opportunity a day. So think about that in terms of numbers. I'm going to break out a calculator because I'm feeling lazy right now. So let me just go right to calculator. Do I have a calculator in this new? It's a brand new phone. I'm still getting used to it. So let's say we were at 60, then we're at $600 a day. So that's $600 a day. There's 22 working days in a month. That's $13,000. This is the simplest of things, right? That's $13,000 a month per technician. So if we multiply that by 11, I never say 12 months in a year when I talk about productivity, because you figure holidays, training, all that stuff. So I usually use 11 to be more realistic with people. So that comes to $145,200. One technician cleaning up the process of getting oil in an oil filter to them in a more timely manner can create for you an extra $145,000 a year in billables for your department. But I'm not done yet, because what happens when you have 5 technicians? Folks, this just became, can you see that? $726,000. $726,000 in parts and labor sales opportunity. Now, people would say, well, that's just make-believe money. That's just make-believe money because that work's not here yet. I didn't sell that work yet. Folks, someone calls your department, calls your service department and says, I want to come in for an oil change. I want to come in for an alignment. I want to come in for a tune-up. What does your service writer say? Does your service writer say, come on down, we got 16 bays wide open, just waiting to work on you? Or do they say, hey, we're currently booking 12 to 14 days out. What day after the 25th works for you? Right? So think about this. You're already telling customers you're so busy you can't work on their stuff right away. But you're so busy it's taking an extra 20 minutes to get oil in an oil filter to do an oil change. What I'm saying is that work's already there. And if you would open up the floodgates and let these customers come in and concentrate on relationships over transactions, you would have more work than you could shake a stick at. So here's my question. What is too much to get ahead? So that was the story, kind of like how we went through in training today, in class today. I gave them an example about a technician looking for batteries. I was at a dealership last year. I saw a technician looking for batteries. Oh my goodness. Here's what gets me. That dealership that I pointed out with the batteries, I said, you just need to buy a new rack and a commercial battery charging station. If you buy a new rack, and a commercial battery storage station, you have the ability to create another $48,000 a year in billable labor. They never put in the rack. They never bought the charging system. It's been almost a year. It might be more than a year. I don't know. I lose track of time. Here's my thing. An expert like me comes in and I see something and I go, you could fix that. You could fix that. For $3,500 with a shelf and a commercial charging station, you could fix that. Now, a year later, when I say things like, we keep working with you and we keep consulting with you, but I don't see you taking any action on the things we consult you with. Like, if I give you the answers and you don't take any action and you don't see any gains, who's to blame? And it's not necessarily the blame game. Like, I get upset at the lost opportunity. I think of families that could do so much better with an extra 30% revenue in each of their homes. But the people that run these shops aren't willing to make that investment. Now, the reason I am not talking to just power sports or just automotive in this live, and I'm talking to everybody, is because I'm wondering, what is the threshold for investing in your future success? Where do people draw that line? For example, I gave you an example about the oil change, right? And I said, what if they didn't have somebody that just took parts to technicians? Like, some dealerships have a position where technician places an order and somebody from the parts department packages it up and runs it over to the technician. So the technician is in their work bay constantly turning work. Okay. The idea here is, the more you can keep a technician working and turning wrenches, the more money the store's going to make and the more money the technician's going to make. Newsflash, for those of you that don't know, technicians get paid for the amount of work they get done. They don't get paid to hang out all day, right? Some of us on salary in a corporate world, we get paid to hang out all day. Sometimes we produce a lot. Sometimes we don't produce a lot. It's just the way it goes. For a technician, they get paid based on what they can accomplish in a day. So when a technician seemingly is working hard and feels busy, but doesn't see it in his paycheck, that's not a happy technician, right? So you want morale up. Good morale means more productivity, right? So you want morale up. You want higher parts and labor sales. And I just showed you $760,000 a year that could be generated with the time that was spent just getting oil filters and oil. Are you tracking me here? I would propose that to a dealership. I have proposed this to a dealership. I'm like, hey, you could hire a young person that would work as an apprentice, and they would take the parts from parts directly to the technician in service, deliver it right to their bay, right to the vehicle. And that way the technician's more efficient, more productive. And I've had business owners look me in the eye and tell me, we can't afford the headcount. You can't afford the headcount. This person's presence and work is going to create an opportunity for your store to sell $760,000 in revenue next year. And you can't afford $15 an hour to hire somebody? You can't afford, okay, let's go part-time. Let's just say you want this person to work from 7 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. Maybe they just do that. Maybe it's from 7 to 1 and they take a 30-minute break every day. Maybe it's part-time, but get somebody in there filling that gap, because if you can't spend that $15 an hour, and let's break this down, because I know we're gonna have this argument if I don't do it this way. $15 an hour, okay? So we say $15 an hour times 2,000 hours. Most full-time jobs are 2,000 hours a year. That's 30,000, okay? But I'm going to give you a break here. I'm going to give you, bear with me. Let's say I'm going to give you another 20,000 on top of that for their benefits and their taxes and all their junk like that. So this is going to cost you as a dealership $50,000 to fill that role. $50,000 to fill that role. And in that one example of that one little job that person would do, it would create up to $760,000 in available revenue for your service department. And I've had owners look at me and go, we can't afford the headcount. I can't add another person like that. That's what I'm talking about. What is too much? What is too much to get ahead? Let's jump to my other product. I have that product called the Power Sport Academy. The Power Sport Academy is a wonderful training program. I will train an entire power sports dealership for $44,000 for the year. Okay. I've got, we've got assets, we've got, job descriptions and resources and things like that for them to use, like operationally, right? So we come to them with those kinds of tools and those kinds of assets, but we also come to them with training in like how to use the phone as an effective sales tool, how to use the service sales funnel to increase productivity and efficiency through the service department, how to really spend time doing things like this. And I'm awestruck at how we can continually go to dealership after dealership after dealership and see growth. 500,000, 800,000, $1.2 million in additional parts and labor sales after a year of working with the Power Sport Academy. And then take those results and have a conversation with another dealer owner and say, hey, we've got this thing at the Power Sport Academy. I'd love to work with your team. It's about $40,000 a year. We can get you guys in there. And they go, oh man, we can't afford it. You can't afford to spend $40,000 to make 800 grand. You can't afford $40,000 even if I came back with $250,000 in increased parts and labor sales. You'd still be way ahead of the game. You'd still be way ahead of the game. And we don't see people grow at that level, right? The only people we see grow at that level are the ones that don't follow through, the ones that don't invest in themselves, the ones that don't follow the directions, the ones that say, I didn't buy the battery rack and the charger for $3,500. I just didn't want to make that investment. Okay, well then you chose not to make the investment to become successful. You chose. But that's what I'm getting at. So I was so inspired today because as I'm having class and I've got these 5 dealerships in and we're all talking and we're talking about process improvement and we're talking about this and root cause analysis. So what do you see at your shop that needs attention? Sales, parts, service, whatever it is, what do you see that needs attention? How do you break down what that root cause is? And then how do you affect change towards that root cause? And then how do you measure the benefit of that change? And keep in mind, folks, sometimes you make a change and it's not great, but that's how we learn because we try things back and forth. I'm going to take this into my other world. My other world is developing membership and learning websites for people on the internet. I have my own agency called Mañana No Mas. That's why you see the Mañana No Mas symbol, I think, on this side of the video. Okay. So we've got Mañana No Mas. We're a full service agency. And when I talk to folks, I just had a meeting 2 days ago with a gentleman. We need a learning site for our company. It's internal. We're not selling the courses. I don't need a payment gateway. I only need this, this, and this. I said, great. I can give you a list of tools if you want to, like if you're into this, like a do-it-yourself situation and you have an internal IT department, I can tell you what tools you're going to need. And I can work with you as a consultant on an hourly basis to get your people up to speed. We can do that. Or my agency will set this whole thing up for you for $8,000. Ooh, I'm going to have to take that to management and see what they want to do. I'm not sure that $8,000 is in the budget. What? I know what it costs to set up a custom Moodle site. I know what it costs to go to Bridge, Learn-A-Pon, SumTotal, Blackboard. Folks, help me here. If you are anywhere at all involved in business training, you'll know some of these names that I'm throwing out. I'm telling you, I can put all this in a WordPress website for you. We can plow your content in there. We can make this platform really effective for you and your employees, right? And I can do this whole thing for $8,000. For you, $8,000. Ooh, that's a lot. What's a lot? What's a lot? What defines a lot? What is too much What is too much of an investment for you to get ahead? Like in that question, I'm like, so why did you want to do the e-learning? Why did you want to bring the, well, we want to save time on training. We want to create an evergreen product. We want to be able to do it once and forget it. Not once and forget it, but they don't want to host classes every day. They want to be able to put people in an online situation and have the website do the heavy lifting. I totally get it. Those are all the selling points I have. So if I'm going to go to some product like Bridge or Learn Upon or Sum Total or one of these, that's a six-figure investment all day long, right? So if I tell you, hey, we can throw that together, run you about $8,000, and someone goes, ooh, it's more than we want to spend. That's a little high. I'm sorry. Maybe your nephew can build you some website on the cheap. But if you're looking for a professional agency to build you an enterprise level training system that you can put your people in reliably and hosted well, it's going to be $8,000. And that's a smoking deal. So again, I go back to, and I'd love to see comments on this. I say that all the time. Like, hey, I'd love to see comments on this. Sometimes people are less brave. Sometimes they send me a private message or something like that, a DM, right, with their opinion. They don't want to put the comment under the video. I get it. You don't want to be vocal sometimes. But what is it that keeps management or ownership at a company so conservative to the point that they strangle the ability for success in their company? What is too much to get ahead? What is so much of an investment that it goes past your threshold? Is it $1,000? Is it $5,000? Is it not money related? Is it a lack of knowledge about the product that makes you go, I don't know what he's talking about, so I guess I'm just going to say no? But time and time again, when I consult with people in power sports or automotive, I can go to a dealership, any dealership, look around and go, if you change that, that's going to create an extra $50,000 a year for you. And if you change that, that's going to create an extra $300,000 for you. And if you do this, this, and this, that could create another $250,000 to $380,000 a year for you, right? And it's all based on that math that I showed you right here. If we know how much they generate parts in relationship to labor, and we know how much time we generate through our efficiencies, then we know how much time is available for increased parts and labor revenue. It's the same with any business. So if I have a company that makes solar panels and I'm used to putting people into training for 2 weeks before I let them do any work, but now I can let them train remotely before their start date and compensate them for their e-learning training, I can have them show up on the job ready for a practicum rather than showing up to a job to learn theory. So I can have them show up ready to start working rather than show up to sit down and fall asleep in class listening to a trainer that sucks. Just the way I see it. So hop in with your comments, give me your feedback, let me know what is too much to get ahead. Later this week, I'm going to be coming online. I'm pretty excited. I said it earlier, but I was like, you have a business and you have a product that you want to promote. And sometimes online, you have to push everybody to a specific lead page or a certain link to get people to take advantage of your offer. What if there was a platform, a ready to go platform where you could just load up your offer and you could share that offer anywhere and have it generate revenue for you? Not a specific landing page or not a specific website that you have to direct traffic to. But what if you could pull that traffic off of Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and when they click, it goes right to a payment gateway. They buy, easy peasy, done. Just like the big boys do with enterprise websites. What if I could bring that to you? How much of an investment for that would be too much? How much would be too much to get ahead? I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you guys later in the week. Bye-bye.